Hey, hi guys. So welcome to the Hive tutorials. So far we have covered almost all the basic things and which relates to the Hive. Related to the DDL commands and how to create the databases and how to create manage the tables and external tables and how to drop the databases. And we have seen some examples, okay, right? And how to create the transactional tables, what to enable uh, to activate the asset properties. So far we have covered all those examples and all those real-time scenarios. Now this is in one of the important topic and also it will be helpful in real time and as well as the interview. Definitely if you go for an interview, so this should be asked by the interviewer. So here we are going to discuss the what is high partition, what is a partition table advantages, and how to create the high partition table and load data into the partition tables and show all partitions on Hive table, add new partition to Hive table, rename or update Hive partitions, drop Hive partitions. So these topics will be discussed. So first thing we have to see what is an partition, Hive partition. Okay. So let's say we have a large table. Okay. Try to understand things. We have a large table. Okay. So here we have some data, we have. So here we have, so we have to write a query. You have to write a query like select star from some X table where you're getting or you want to scan that entire table to fetch the one record like select star from table where id is equal to id is equal to 2020 something 2024 something id we have. So rather scanning entire table, so of course it will take time to fetch the particular data particular of that particular record. To avoid this time utilization when you're retrieving the query output, so you can have the large table into smaller logical tables based on the partition keys. Okay, so these smaller logical tables are not visible to the users, and users still access the data just from the one table. So partition eliminates creating smaller table, accessing and managing them separately. Okay, so let's say you have loaded the data into the partition table. Okay, so what Hive do? Hive internally divides the records based on the partition key. It then stores the data for each partition in a subdirectory. So within the class tables directory on HDFS. So which means you have a year column. Okay, year column you have. So now what you have to do? You have to load the data, or you have to extract the data based on. See, let's say if you take the first scenario, so you're going to fetch the data from this table, which is having billions of records, millions of records. It takes time. So when you create the partitions based on year or based on time or based on some unique timestamp, unique column, then you can create a partition. Then that particular partition you can apply a vary class. Then the data retrieval will be fast. Though, so the users, the time taking process, it will be very less. So when you have the file in HDFS, when you do a scanning, that particular see, since we know how to relay data on the file system. Now you have created one partition based on the year. When you scan the table, it will directly fetch the particular file from the HDFS based on the partition key and its corresponding value. And furthermore, I would, I mean, it's very, very important to highlight that during the data loading process in the partition table, Hive do, Hive omits the partition key from the actual loaded file on HDFS. Why? Because the partition key is a redundant information. So retrievable from the partition folder name. So got it. So this is where the partition occurs. This is where the partition has created. So what is the advantage when you create the partition? So as you guys are aware of it, Hive is a data warehousing database for Hadoop, right? So that means it stores a large big data sets. So suppose you created a very large table. Let's come to the Hive. Okay. Just may log in. Okay. Now see, now if you look at here, you have created filter, you have created employee transaction table, you have created an employee. But the problem here it is, these are all small tables. You no need to have the partition key on this particular table, right? So, so the advantage is that if you create the partition table, the data, see, if you see the employee table, employee trans table, and filter table, they are very small tables, guys. Very small tables. If you access the data over the employee table, it gets the data, it retrieve the data very quickly. So if you have the large data, if you don't have if you don't have the partition key, then the access will be very slow. That is the reason on top of this table, we will create a partition key which will fast access the data. And the second advantage is it provides the ability to perform an operation on the smaller data sets. Okay, let's create a partition table. Okay, the same way, guys, same way. So no need to worry. So we created a table. Let's go and see that. So I'm taking this one. I'm not going to create a transactional table. I'm just creating a normal table, partition table. So let's create some zip code. Okay. So zip codes. Okay. Now let me change this column names as well. So if you make practice, then it will be easy for you. Record number, let's say int. Country, you can keep it as string. City, then zip code. Okay. Zip code is int. So I'm creating a table, which is a zip code table. Now here, now after this one, what you have to do, you have to mention a partition column or and partition by. So to create a partition table, remember this, to create a partition table in Hive, you can use the partition by class along with the create table statement. That is what we are being used here. Okay. Now partition table, partition by, which one? State. And remember guys, remember if you are using a partition column which is a state, you should not have it in the create table statement. Okay. Because you are going to make the partition by on the state, then again you're keeping this the column name, so it doesn't make sense. So row format is delimited. Comment, if I want comment, you can keep this comment as zip codes. So it's a delimited, file submitted by comma. So I'm going to create. Let's see. So what is issue error? It's a spelling mistake. No execute. What is this error? Okay, there is an issue. Just string issue. Now it's good. What is error? This is one closed and this is one closed. What is this? Comment zip code, partition by state. This is comma I'm keeping. This one city zip code. Okay, I'm just removing for now. We'll see. Okay, there is an issue with that. So now we created the partition table. Let's create the partition table. We created a partition. Now we have to insert the particular partition. What we did, we have created, one second. So now what we have to do, we have to insert the data into, see, we have created a table called zip codes. Now we have to insert some data into the table, which is, see, if you see, show, if you want to see, show partitions, you have to write this command. Simply just do this, okay? By there is partition by state. It's showing the partition key, but why it's not showing partitions for zip codes table? Just a wait, guys. It's not sure. Let me refresh. Show partitions. It should display the partitions which we created. Okay. So yeah. Because why it's not showing? Because we haven't loaded the data. So if you see this, because we haven't inserted any partitions, right? Show create table. So if you see here, so this is a table, external table, and this is a partition table. How do you know that this is a partition table or partition by keyword we have used? So by seeing this one, we can see this. Okay, now I'm going to insert few data in this table. Okay, zip codes table. I prepared for that. Let's take this insert statements from here. Then let's do one by one. Okay, let me do it one by one. See, because this data can be loaded through the file by using command load in path command, but since we don't have Hadoop setup here, so I'm manually inserting the few data. Okay, so that is also one just simple straightforward file. So no need to worry. So so after this class, I'll explain how the data is being loaded to the Hive tables in the real time. So what concept they used to have to load the data. So how the kind of massive data they will load into the tables that I'll show you. So see, one by one insert will not be there in the real time. So because since they have the huge data, so it will be done through the process. Let's do select star from zip codes. See, see the data has been inserted. Okay, so some data has been inserted. So if you see the state, now what we have to do, we have to see uh so if you look at this zip codes wise, okay, which we created as a state as partition key, right? Got it? Now what we have to do? Now if you want to segregate the data based on the some particular state, yes, if you want, then see the state wide the data will be scanned. But if you write a query, you no need to scan entire data. If you let's take this one. Let me show you an example. Let's say select star from zip codes where state is equal to US, right? See, the US region data has been displayed. So this means if you want to uh, if you want to scan the data, if you want to scan the particular record, you no need to do full scan. Okay, if you know the state, or if you know this some particular timestamp, then you can scan that table very quickly and very easily. So this is the faster access of data. That is the reason we are creating the partitions. So next, if you want to drop a Hive partition, simply you can drop the partition. But for that, you have to do the alter command. You have to do alter table. So zip codes. I don't want to drop the table. You simply alter table, drop that particular partition only. You can drop it. Suppose you have some problem in this partition. You want to reload this partition. So further, you don't need to drop entire table. You have to only drop the this US region partition only. Just you can drop it, and again you can again you can load the particular data. So even there is one more process which you can manually dropping partitions. Like there is a commands, HDFS commands that I'll cover up in the Hadoop. Once Hadoop setup is done, I'm creating the Hadoop setup. No need to worry. And if you want to if you want to filter, so show partitions, you can. I showed you, right? So those things. Yeah, this is what all about the partition. So remember a few things. Partition by is used to create partition table. So alter table is used to add, rename, or drop the partitions. And show partitions is used to show the partition on the particular table. So MSCK repair is used to synchronize Hive metastore with the HF data. Suppose something got is not responding. One in that case is what you have to do. MSCK repair. Then table name you can give. That's it. Then it will repair the data, and it coordinates with HDFS. Then it will resynchronize the data. So this is all about the partitions. Okay. So in the next class, I'll definitely I'll I'll give you some question and Q&A sessions.